don't have any Kraken merch just yet. I hadn't bought a hat. I didn't buy any of that stuff, and I was waiting to buy a jersey because I made this deal with myself and a couple of other friends that whoever scored the first goal in the first regular season game for the Seattle Kraken would be the guy that I got on my jersey. So it just so happens that now I will be buying an away Ryan Donato jersey very, very soon, because Ryan Donato is the question that is going to be answered in all those trivia questions coming down for the rest of the time, because he is the first player to score a goal for the Seattle Kraken. But we got a lot more to talk about before we get into that game. And I already have all the other Seattle stuff out. If you guys don't already know, I'm a Winnipeg Jets fan that lives out in Vancouver, British Columbia, so I'm a West Coast guy, and since I don't have NFL, I don't have MLB out here. I do have the Jays, but I ain't gonna root for no Toronto team. I root for the Mariners, and I root for the Seahawks. So I have a really good sport tied to the city of Seattle. I go down there all the time before COVID was a thing, and they are now my third team. So I'm going to be talking about them a lot. As a Jets fan, I will always be number one, and this will always be Peg City Hockey, but you guys know I like to sprinkle in different content from time to time, and we're going to be talking about the Kraken throughout this season because, not one, they're the brand new team in the NHL, and two, because I feel like it. So starting about this game, the Kraken do end up falling by a score of 4-3 in their first ever franchise game, dropping to a 1-0 record, but that doesn't matter because, in my opinion, the Seattle Kraken, at the end of that first period, I thought we were going to be having a much different talking type video when it came to that first period. They did not look good. And let's not say they didn't look terrible and they didn't look, the worst team ever assembled. But in my opinion, what the Kraken were a prime example of in that first period was a team that has a good understanding of what their ideology as a team is, how their play style is, how they're going to work the boards, hit, and all that stuff. They know what their identity is, but they're still trying to figure out how to play together as a group. That's what they really looked like to me. The pairings didn't look terrible, but they definitely looked off. The offense was stale getting into the zone at times. They just really didn't look like a team that had that much chemistry together, but still knew what identity we're going for. They had a really good game on the boards. They had a lot of hits as well. I'm just pulling up the stats again. My stupid page was refreshing, but either way, you guys like to know I do these in one take, so either way, talking about this game, they had a really good game. They had 33 hits compared to the Knights' 26, and they really set that tempo early. They were really throwing their body around a lot, and I think that's an identity of this club that we're going to really see be a heavy presence throughout the regular season, and with good reason, right? When you have that many checking players and really grindy, good hitting forwards that are really physical, that know how to set a tempo of a game well, like have that playoff atmosphere type of style where they're really physical, that's important to have, and especially when you're trying to make up for a lack of, offensive skill at times, that can be a good tool to have. Obviously not the most successful way to score goals from time to time, but either way, they were still able to get goals scored tonight, and I thought they were able to play a pretty good, complete game getting out of that first period. The Knights, on the other hand, they looked great from the puck drop in the first to the buzzer in the third. I really liked the Golden Knights game tonight. Robin Lehner let in a couple weak goals, but other than that, I still think that they all played pretty well. Their zone entry was fantastic, not to mention the fact that they owned the neutral zone, which they always do. The Vegas Golden Knights, even though I hate to give them credit for things because they knocked my Jets out 3 years ago now, or whatever, however many years ago it was, to get to that cup final back in 2018. It's still fresh and stings, but either way, I think that they play one of the best neutral zone games in the entire NHL. The way they can move that puck through the neutral zone, it's like watching a hot knife go through butter. It's really fun to watch, and I really got to give them credit there. They played a really good game in the neutral zone. The offense was flying. Defense was jumping in on the rush. The Knights looked like a really well-poised, oiled machine that is going to be looking like they're really trying to, get over that hump, make it back to the final, and see where it goes from there. But moving on from that first period, the Kraken really picked things up. Once Ryan Donato got that goal, and within 69 seconds apart, I believe it was Jared McCann was able to come in and get that second goal. They were 3-2. It's a completely new game, and that momentum was right there from that point on. The Kraken looked like a different team. At that point, after Jared McCann's goal, I would say that is officially when the Seattle Kraken were released, because boy, did they pick up that tempo. They had a really fun, high-flying game. Obviously, they've got some things to work out, and they don't have the greatest goal scorers that's ever been assembled on a team, for sure, but that doesn't mean there's going to be some interesting cases to follow. A preseason guy that was a really, really good, underrated guy, I thought, going into preseason, that no one really knew a lot about, but really showed his worth. Morgan Geekie, coming into that third period, getting that goal, assisted from Lazan. He looked really, really good tonight, just like he looked good in preseason. He was everywhere on the ice. He had good puck possession. He was throwing up those passes really well. He looked like a really good playmaker, and if he can continue to grow his game like that, I think Seattle's going to have a really nice gem on their hand in Morgan Geekie. I really think he could develop well for them, and I really hope to see how his game is going to grow. I think it's going to be an interesting storyline to follow with the Kraken this year. Other than that, the other thing I want to talk about, I don't think the Chandler Stevenson goal in the third period should have counted. I think it was so close to being a clean goal with like the directed pass. But in my opinion, the kicking motion happened well. Like they said he directed his foot to, not kick the puck in, but to direct it into the net. It's not a kicking motion. But in my opinion, how close it was to the actual puck hitting his skate, it was a kicking motion, if that makes any sense. Because he was already going into the kicking stride while the puck, went off of it. And I don't think that I think if he'd moved his foot into that position a second earlier, it would have been a complete clean goal. But I think because it was just too close for me, I really don't think that it should have counted. It was a 50-50 call, obviously, and the NHL is going to go with what the on-ice call was, and the on-ice call was a goal. So, I really didn't expect them to turn it over, but I really hoped they would. Not because I wanted to see an overtime game, even though I definitely did, but because I really just didn't think that, that was the right call, especially in a game like this, kind of a little bit of a momentum killer from Seattle, even though they did put up a lot of pressure into the end of that third period. They got quite lucky that they didn't get an empty net scored on there a couple times, but either the way, they fought to the last second of that third period, and you got to give credit to where credit's due. The Seattle Kraken, after a pretty embarrassing first period where they really stumbled, but they weren't terrible, but it still wasn't what you want to set as the bar for your first period of NHL hockey as a franchise, I think they really picked it up well. So I think that as a first game, if you're a Seattle Kraken fan, first time you're ever watching your team play, they're down 1-0 going into the season now out of the 82 games. It doesn't really matter. This was a really close game against the top-tier teams that you're going to be facing in the Pacific Division this year in the Knights. So, do I think that, they're, a horrible team? They're going to be this or that? It's too hard to say. But they showed a really good heart tonight. They battled back, and they made it a close game against a team that I think a lot of people didn't expect them to win against, and I think that it was a really fun match. And that's all you can ask for. When the Winnipeg Jets came back to Winnipeg after moving from Atlanta to Winnipeg in 2010, 10 years ago, almost 11 years ago it was now, they lost that first game to the Montreal Canadiens. I believe it was like 5-1 or something like that. It was not a fun game. I still had a great time watching. I think almost every Jets fan was just happy to have hockey back, even though they lost and it wasn't a great game. But either way, to have your team battle like this, have it be entertaining, it's all that matters. It was a great memory, in my opinion. Donato, obviously, being that trivia question for the Hot Neck for all of eternity, being their first goal scorer. Jared McCann coming in, 2 goals within 69 seconds. Very nice. But either way, I just think that this was a really good game for the Seattle Kraken, and I'd like to see where this goes from there. There was a lot of positives. There were some negatives in the first, but I think they really got their game put together well after they were able to get those goals, and I'm excited to see what their next matchup is going to look like against whoever it might be. I don't know off the top of my head, but either way, I think this was a good first game for them. Lots of improvement from that first period. Even though they didn't get the win, I still think this was an impressive performance against a dominant team in the Knights, and I can't wait to see what the Seattle Kraken's season will look like, and also it will be a very interesting story to follow this year with the Pacific Division. Lots of questions. I can't wait for one to see how it's all going to end up. So let me know your thoughts on this game, hockey fans out there, and also make sure to subscribe regardless of the team that you root for. As you can tell, I like sports. I'm a Jets fan. I like the Mariners. I don't talk about baseball and all that, but either way, I like all sports, and I think it's great to have different perspectives from different fans, from different fan bases, give you and feed you information or whatever. So take that as you will. Have a great rest of your night. Make sure to follow my Twitter and Instagram and check out all the other affiliated links down in the description as well. Have a great rest of your night. Peace, love, and positivity to all you beautiful people out there in the world. And go Kraken, go Jets, go. I don't know what I'm going to end it on. Have a great rest of your night. Good night.